Should Bit Woody and Micky show. Are we on? Welcome to the Micky and Woody show with me, Paul Wood, and my little sidekick, Micky Iron. In association with Get a Tax Rebate, 1895 Sports, Mesa Vienna Aesthetics, CDX Security.
Okay, welcome to the Micky and Woody show. Micky, how are you doing, mate? You all right?
All right, Woody, thank you. You?
Yeah, not too bad. Not too bad. Still loving lockdown. What have you been up to this week?
Well, a bit of a productive week, really, because you've told me to pull my finger out in the show. So I spoke to a few potential sponsors this week. We've done a bit of planning towards, hopefully, when we're out of lockdown, we'll get a studio up and running, you know, with signage and, you know, microphones, etc. Also, we had a check on podcast ratings, and we've gone to number 5 in the rugby podcast ratings this week. So, yeah, good start for us, really, because we're still early days and we're starting well. Also, one of our sponsors, Tax Rebate, simple, easy form I filled in the other day, and I got £2,000 back. Jamie sent me an email back, claimed £2,000. So, a big thank you to one of our sponsors. You know, it's anybody can do it, fill it online, it's brilliant.
Brilliant. Sounds like you've had a good week then.
Yeah, well, you know me, I'm quite shrewd with the money, Paul, as they say. So,
Well, they don't call you tightest man in rugby league for nothing. So
no.
they
do you know what? You get away with that. You get away with under that radar because you are tight. You're tight.
Yeah. I'm careful with my money, and I don't like buying coffees.
I know that.
But yeah, there's a bit of pressure on for our two guests here tonight because, like I said, it was good that we're seeing that was 5th in the rugby ratings on the Apple's podcast charts. So if we drop down this week, we can blame these two, can't we?
Blame our next two guests, can't? Yeah, definitely.
But no, it's great to have one of our old teammates here and his wife, Ellen Skelton and Richie Myler. Welcome, guys.
You all right? Brilliant. Pleasure to have you on. I know
Micky, you are the tightest man ever.
I know.
For a long time.
I know. I admit it, though. I do admit it.
No, I'm going to jump in and say you're not, because on our wedding gifts, you were one of the kindest, and you gave us a gift twice as expensive as Adrian Morley, and Adrian Morley still goes on about how expensive the ironing board was. Honestly, you actually have it.
Hey, we do. To be fair, that's probably the only gift we've got. It's one of the only gifts we've got from our wedding.
And he's like 10 times richer than me, innit? Minimum.
What did he give you? What was the wedding gift?
Don't tell.
No, you gave us money, and Adrian Morley gave us an ironing board.
How much money did he give you, though? Come on, tell us.
He gave us £100.
Did we?
Quick.
Yeah.
Well, you might not. I didn't know that. I'm having cake after.
Brilliant.
She only said 20 quid in a card.
Brilliant. Hey, that must have been a DMX ironing board. What Mozza's got, he must have been like...
Hey, you know what? It's still going. It was a John Lewis special. It's still going, isn't it?
Can't beat that.
It's because she doesn't use it.
I'm just going to say who uses it more, Stu or Ellen.
No,
Richie, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely have a cleaner.
Stepford housewife, mate. Told you.
Working mums, isn't it? Power to the working mums.
Working mums.
Right. Well, first of all, we'll start with you, Ellen. Just obviously, we have to touch on the celebrity SAS that you've just done. Absolutely outstanding to get to the last 6. We was watching it. Straight away as we watch it, we said, I bet Ellen gets to the final. But I can't go any further without mentioning, you did the Nambian Ultra Marathon. You was the 2nd woman ever to finish that race. 78 miles in 23 hours and 45 minutes. You've kayaked Amazon, which was 2010 miles.
Yeah.
That was a world record.
Yeah.
Solo kayak and the longest distance ever in 24 hours by a woman. You've done tightrope walking, and you're the first person to reach the South Pole on a bicycle. So, what made you go into SAS? Because this just sounds like a walk in the park, the SAS thing, after reading those achievements.
I think all of that stuff was so long ago, and like it was. I think we got married after I went to South Pole, didn't we? And it was years ago, and like before the kids. And then when SAS came along, I was a bit like, oh, because they asked me last year, and I said no because the kids were too little, didn't I? And then this year I thought, oh, I wonder if I still can do it. And do you know what the hardest thing was? And this is no disrespect to you, but like the hardest thing was leaving you in charge of the kids and kind of stepping away from all that. Because you know what it's like when you're a mum and you're like controlling everything. And I remember you left us a video message and they all laughed at me because even in everything that was going on, like you don't sleep, you don't eat, you're getting shouted at and thrown out of helicopters. And I saw the video of you and the kids and apparently I went, yeah, they're dressed. Yeah, okay. I don't know, I just wanted to see if I could still do it.
Well, do you know what? If it makes you feel any better, Richie, I think if it was the other way around and Shelley had to go and do that and leave me with kids, I guarantee you she'd move a mum in with me. Because
100%, but I would 100% be at your house. You would not be on your own.
Just on that one, you only go out Shelley goes out for a Friday night and she comes around anyway, Barbara.
Yeah,
she only goes out wigging for 2 or 3 hours and you get mother-in-law around.
I can't handle my 3 kids, I'm telling you. They're just absolutely chaos. But no, I mean, probably more challenging for you then, Rich. You want it for
yeah, it was a week with no contact. That killed me. But no, I mean.
But to be fair, like in there, you don't sleep, you don't eat, and so all night they're coming in and shouting at you and waking you up. And that was the one thing that I was all right about because I was like, I'm used to this. I'm used to one of the kids landing on our head at like 3 a.m. So I was like, that was fine. No, it was good in a weird way. I sort of enjoyed it, didn't I? It wasn't the physical stuff. I mean, yeah, the physical stuff was hard, but that's all doable. The hard thing is never knowing what they're going to do. Like, you put your backpack on and then you might run 5K to the boxing thing, and then you don't know if they're going to make you swim across the lake or run back or do, crawl around stuff. You literally never know what's coming next. Like they kept saying, run to Ant Middleton on the hill. So you'd run there, but as you get 10 metres away, he'd walk another K away. So you never knew it was going to happen. That's what I found hard.
Well, that was, to be honest, I think you've read my questions just so I'm not lying. That was my next question, really. What was it? What was the challenge? More emotional or physical? Is that what you found?
And when you only see us once go into that mirror room where they like interrogate you, but you're in there all the time. Like they took me in and told me off once because when you're doing the murder ball thing where the big tyre, I just like took it that it was rugby, and I don't understand the rugby, do I? But I was getting really mad because I was like, defend the line. And they went, and they took me in and they told me off and they're like, you shouting at everybody, like manipulative woman, having a go at everybody. And they said to me, I bet you're one of those women who winds blokes up in a pub and makes them all fight. And I was like, why? Because you were shouting at everybody in that rugby match. So it was just like, I don't, like, obviously I've known you lot for years. I think I took for granted that, like, you lot, like, not being horrible, but you're horrible on the pitch, aren't you? And then nice off the pitch. Whereas obviously Tony Bellew really struggled to switch that off. And I think that for...
Micky never turns it on, never mind off.
I know. Well, do you know what? Looking at the last 6 contestants was Tony Bellew, Joey Essex, DJ Locksmith, Nicky Sanderson and Lauren Steadman. But looking at that list, I would have probably said yourself getting into the final 6. I would never have put Joey Essex in that final 6 because you have this perception of him of, the only way is Essex and what he comes across on TV. But he was absolutely magnificent, really, to say that it was a completely different bit of television from what he's used to.
And he's really nice, isn't he? Like, I speak to Joey quite a bit. He's really nice. He's really annoyed about the ending because he just didn't want to give up his number. And I think that's the thing, when you get that far, you really don't want to give up. But the interrogation bit, you've got no idea what's going on. Because when you watch it on TV, like, you're sitting there going, oh, just give up the names. But you don't know who else has given up what. You don't know who's left in it. You've got no idea what's going on. So it's a really difficult one, that interrogation. Like, I literally didn't know what was going on. I thought, they said to us they'll try and make out that the others have confessed, they'll try and trick you. So they've messed with your mind before you go in there. And Joey was annoyed at the way he went out, but I said, I think he did great. Yeah. And he was good for me. Like, he got me through some... There was a few times when I was like, I can't do it. And he was like, well, I can't do it, but if you do it, I'll do it. So we were quite, like...
That was going to lead on to my next question. Like, I see a couple of times when you had a bit of a wobble in the series, and there were a few there for you. What did you get out of the series? Because we all know that you're mental and physical. You're so much energy and all the things you've done, and you're mentally strong as well. What is it you got out of the show that maybe you didn't expect? Surprise yourself with, or if you understand what I'm saying.
Yeah, it sounds like a martyr, and I don't mean it like that, but I think when I did all that stuff like Namibia and the high wire, like, I put loads of pressure on myself that I had to be the best, and I had to get those world records, and I had to kayak the Amazon, and I think I put so much pressure on myself that I didn't enjoy it. Whereas when I did SAS, I wasn't the fastest at everything. I didn't win every bit, and I was all right about that. And I think that for me was a big learning curve. Not that like, oh, I'm all right with being a loser, but a bit like, do you know what I mean? I was like, I was second best, and that's all right. That doesn't mean you're a failure.
Woody's been used to all his career and his life, hasn't he? So
yeah, nothing up with that. But going back to, you said something earlier, Ellen, where you said, it was years ago when you had these challenges, but do you think that attitude now is probably because you're a little bit more mature and you're a little bit older? Because I have that as well. I used to be...
Careful, Woody, careful.
You are treading on thin ice here.
I mean it, but myself, personally, I had to win everything. I wanted to win everything. But as I've got older, I've mellowed. I'm 39 this year. So I'm a bit older than you. But what I'm saying is, I've just certainly mellowed. So do you think that has come with age?
Yeah. And I think you get to the point where, like, Lauren was obviously unbelievable. And my goal was always to stay near Lauren. And so I always tried to get near her. But what I loved about Lauren, and I don't mean it in a patronising way, but she reminded me of myself. Like, she kept saying stuff like, we need this to her, and then we get ready for how bad it's going to be. And I thought, yeah, I used to think like that. Whereas now I'm quite happy to watch her do it. And no, I definitely think that comes with age. You're funny because you always say to me, he'll go, oh, the old Helen would have done it. And I'm like, yeah, the old Helen might have. But I'm not going to race you to the last chocolate biscuit. So get over it. Yeah,
we have this conversation a bit, Micky, coming towards the end of her career, where we just sort of, it's like you lose a bit of motivation, really. But you're getting older and you're wiser, and once you push yourself so hard, it becomes quite difficult to keep doing it, and then your body just starts not giving in, but you pick injuries up, and then you start recovering a little bit slower. Rich is still a young pup yet, so he's all this to come, auntie. But
now he's joining the 30 club.
He's a 30 club last week. I know. I was going to bring it up. I remember you've put somewhere. We finally got him in the 30 club. He's got the. It's like you've been around for
forever. No, I feel like that as well.
Well, we only played with him. How many years did we play together, Richie? About 5 years.
What time? When did I left Warrington in 2015? When did you leave?
Yeah, well, I left at the beginning of 15, so we did virtually 5 years together.
You left at the beginning, I left it middle, and you left at the end, didn't you?
yeah, it was.
Richie, was there anything that you found surprising about Ellen when you was watching it? Like, did you think, I didn't think she'd struggle with this, or, she's much better at this?
No, not really, because I thought she did, obviously she did really well. She did get as far as she did. We were crying, laughing when she tried to run away with the mask on. That was like, where were you going? It was like, where were you going to go? So no, but I don't think. I always thought she'd be sweet with the. No, to be fair, she did better than I would have done. I mean, we would have. I think the way rugby played, mentally we would have been broken, especially out of the regimes we've been in. I think we would have all crumbled.
You think you'd have had a chance with Tony Bellew if you'd have done the boxing one, Rich?
You what?
I think you'd have had a chance with Tony Bellew if you'd have gone toe-to-toe with him.
Yeah, would have picked the bat up.
Was one of the clips of you, Ellen? Did you give him a few side swipes? Didn't you? You gave him a few like 2:00 in morning punches, didn't you? Sidewinders.
What you don't see on that is like they've made us run there and then do all these exercises, and then the girls had to fight, and some of the girls' fights got quite one-sided and quite brutal. So Tony was raging because he kept saying, "If this was a real fight, the referee would have called it." And then they made us all hit Tony, and Tony said in an interview, didn't he? Someone said to him, "Oh, did you feel any of them hitting you?" And he went, "Oh, I felt sneaky skeleton." And I said, "I never achieved anything else in the rest of my life. That's me done. I'm happy."
Yeah.
Buddy, who was that bloke that we fought that time? What was his name?
Errol the Bomber Graham it was.
What the hell were we doing in that?
I know, yeah. Go on, tell us, tell everybody what we did, Rich.
What was it? It was like a charity boxing. It was like a rugby. Was it rugby players were fighting, weren't they?
Yeah, so it was Steve Prescott Foundation. We got asked to.
It was fight. Yeah. And me and Woody had an exhibition match with Earl Bomber Graham, whoever is in the middle of this whole thing. We had proper gloves and shorts and everything, like all named up and that. It was embarrassing, wasn't it? We were like, we couldn't lay a single glove on him.
Well, that's why it was embarrassing, because this bloke was 50 years old and we couldn't even lay a finger on him. And there was probably about, 1,000 people in this venue just laughing at us. So, and then we ended up just like having a little jab, didn't we? So
we were both in the ring at the end trying to knock him out. We couldn't get anywhere near him.
Yeah, well, that was his trick. You see, when he was a boxer, is that no one could get near him. They couldn't lay a glove on him. So he does all these exhibitions now. But yeah, they're so talented, the boxers. You don't realise, do you, how tough they actually are until you meet them in person.
Oh, you've had a boxing match, Ellen, haven't you? Remember the charity boxing match?
Oh yeah, Kate came.
She still talks about it today.
I did a charity boxing match with Comic Relief, and that was that was the hardest thing. That was probably harder than SAS. Do you remember that? So there was like 4 celebrities. The others trained together in a gym in Chelsea, pop stars and an actress. But because I didn't have anyone at my weight to train with up here, the only people that I could train with were actual boxers. So I was sparring with a European champion in Bradford. Remember, I was terrified, wasn't I?
It was the one in Warrington that stunned you in Warrington.
Yeah, I came to Warrington because you have to get properly licensed and do so many hours. And I came to Warrington, and the 13-year-old knocked my tooth out.
That's wonderful, isn't it?
Yeah.
It was mental.
I felt sorry for that girl that he fought and thingy, that Camilla.
Oh yeah, no. You give her a good pasting, didn't you? Really?
I think because obviously I'd never seen her fight. We'd never seen you train or anything. And then when it started, I was like, I thought I was dead nervous for it to start, thinking, how's this going to go? Like, what's going to happen? And within 10 seconds, I was like, she's going to knock her out. Helen's going to knock her out. I was thinking, no, she can't. It's a charity game. She can't knock her out.
So would you say your boxing is your toughest challenge you've ever done out of all the challenges you've done? Would you say that is probably the toughest?
Training. Because I'm not a boxer, but then they were taking me to like England camps where all the England girls, and not being funny, but you walk in as like a TV presenter here for a charity thing. You can imagine all these girls who were trying to get the eye of the England selectors. If they want someone's scalp, they want mine, don't they? So I remember getting in and them getting really mad because they were like, hit us, you're disrespecting us by not hitting us. And I was like, I've spent 30 years not hitting people. So for me, all of a sudden to be expected to hit people was quite intense.
Were you still there? I don't know if you were there. Oh, you might have been. Remember
Ricky Atkins?
Yeah, but did that training day?
Yeah, but who was it that Emma called out? Was it Dog? Was it Brad Dwyer? Was that this?
I remember
when they did all that fight at the end, and then I think because a couple of lads fought, didn't they?
Well, Luke said no headshots, didn't it? Was it Anthony England and Gene Hornsman? And they ended up.
Yeah, they had a big. But do you remember when Emma got in the ring and said, "Come on, Brad, let's go," and he just went, "No chance."
No, mate.
Yeah.
Did Reece and Ben go in as well? Brothers at it again.
Yeah.
There's been some good turn-ups there with Reece Evans and Ben Evans in the past.
Remember when they did it in the gym?
Tony Smith was still there watching, didn't he?
Oh, Mate, it was the end of like round 1. I think Reece caught Ben right on the chin, didn't he? So then it was like, right, have a minute break and back in, and then it was just windmills were going.
Yeah, just full on brawling, wasn't it? Tony Smith just carry on. Said, let me know when you're ready. Funny that.
Richie,
it was over something like a shoe or something as well, wasn't it? It wasn't like it wasn't over anything serious. It was like one person had moved someone's shoe or something.
But like we were like, you know what, Bridgie and Harrison and all them were like, go on, Ben. Go back when you reach. He's like, you know, Ben's like, Ben, you're weaker 20, and Ben had just like, Eddie gone on it.
Yeah, how bad when you think about it though? You couldn't have anything in that gym, could you? If you walked in, if you had a pair of new boots. Within like 10 minutes, they had something drawn all over him and writing all that.
You remember when Chris Hicks used to have his little weight training gloves? Yeah. Somebody had one of his gloves. Went, I can't lift weights without them. He went, no, I'm not doing it. he refused to do weights without his little gloves.
Do you remember when you saw like that Peter Allen in when Bubble had put too much in?
Yeah.
It was like a scene from like a scene from war, wasn't it? Casualties everywhere, all over showers.
I remember coming in the physio room and seeing like Mosley on the floor with his hands on his head, and then I think you were in the corner.
No, we were in canteen. I had lasagna. You know what I mean? I'm like free food, and I reached that and I went, sweating here, would I? Can't even. I just couldn't eat my dinner. I'm like, it's not like me not eating my dinner here. Next minute, I was in the changing room. Everybody just laid everywhere, like spewing. And
the young lad had put some in already, and then Bubble had gone. Oh, I'd not put it in, so then Bubble had put double in or something.
Yeah. No, what he did was he asked him to make. He asked him to make a protein shake, which was 2 scoops, and instead of doing the 2 scoops of protein, he put the beta-alanine in, and we all thought we had food poisoning. But when you take, so people know what we're talking about, this beta-alanine, it makes you tingle. But if you have too much, it can be quite serious, and it's hospital treatment. And we had way too much. And the funny thing was, we had a semi-final. This was on the Thursday. We had a semi-final on the Saturday. Biggest game of the year, semi-final of the Challenge Cup, and we ended up winning that game. So Bubble said, we'll overdose on it every single week then.
We used to call it Beta Thursdays, didn't we?
But it was for like blood flow, wasn't it? Wasn't it to make your blood flow better?
It was to reduce the speed of lactic acid build up in your muscles. I don't think it worked. I think it was a bit of a miss, but
it was awful. It was awful. Honestly, you felt like your head was going to explode.
It was a bad day, that, wasn't it?
Good time.
Good times, but I mean, Richie just touched on it there. I mean, we used to be in a gym, and it was a ruthless atmosphere, wasn't it? But when you listen to you two, probably Ellen's probably the alpha, I think, and then you're the one, Richie, who's probably the calm one, which is probably unusual in a rugby setting because. Apart from Micky, I think Micky's missus is the dominant one, and his missus as well.
10 bells out of him.
But to see a rugby player, and how does the relationship work on that essence? You know what I mean? Obviously you don't have to push Ellen because she's pushing herself. Does she give you the kicks up the arse?
Do you know what's funny is sometimes because my background is children's telly and then telly, which is got a lot of quite flamboyant characters, and they think he's so alpha male, and I'm like,
you don't know.
You're not, are you, compared to a lot of rugby players? So like they all think he's like.
I always get my nails done. I mean,
but you know what I mean. Compared to a lot of people, you're not. And like sometimes some of my mates will be like, "How much does he eat?" And I'm like, "What?" Like I think they think you come home and like you're sitting eating raw chickens for lunch or something.
Hey, I'll tell you what you need. You need your Botox, or are you doing, Rich, yeah?
I've given it, you know what? It's like when you get 2 kids, Micky, and
I used to have a full head of hair like you, Rich.
I've still got my hair. I'm happy about that.
You're all right.
You're still doing well, though, Richie, with your hair, mate. You were still doing well. I still think of Richie though as a young. For some reason, I still think of you, Richie, as like a 21, 22-year-old. Oh, when you don't see people for a long time, you forget that the age, and when I seen it on social media that you was 30 the other week, I'm like, shit, where's them years gone? You know, and I have to check my own age.
I know. I started at 16 though, so that's why it's probably
Yeah. I know.
a bit round.
What was a good breaking in period was when we went end of season trip to Magaluf, wasn't it?
I think I want to know.
No.
It was before your time, anyway. I think
We'll not go too into that, but that was the cracking weekend, that wasn't it?
I remember the walk back from Robinson Crusoe's with my mate Woody.
Well, we'll not go too far. We'll not go too far into this story. But what I will tell you is, Richie did put me in bed. I was considerably drunk. Let's just say, Richie put me to bed, but I woke up. He put me in the wrong bedroom. I woke up with three lads from Runcorn. So
he woke up with three random strangers, and all of them were scared thinking, because he was in this room and didn't know who he was, and not one of them would say to him, leave.
Richie said, I'll look after him, and he put me in bed and put me in
I walked him all the way back. No, I walked him all the way back, and I said, is this your room, Woody? And he went, yeah. I went, right, go on in.
Well, I woke up at morning, I said, where's Woody? The next minute he comes walking like, I think you can walk in the corridor, didn't you, from 45 doors.
I just can't think of the faces of them lads when they woke up. Did you ever find out what they were called? Imagine if they're watching now. Imagine if they're watching.
I know. I don't want to know. Anyway, swiftly moving on. So, Richard, just going back to your career, mate, like you said, you just started when you were 16, which is it's a massive achievement, that to be a 16-year-old and to be playing first team rugby is you've got to have some serious talent to do that. And I was saying before we came on, speaking to one of your former coaches, Steve McCormack, who gave you your debut at Widnes, and played you for 2 games, but then dropped you in the final because he wanted to go with the experience. And he was telling me that he should have picked you for the final, even though you'd only played 2 first team games, because he believes that you'd have won that game. So, people rated you from a young age.
I think it was a hard one for him in a way, because I played the last game of the season. So my first game for the first team was Batley away. The last ever game. I know what Batley's like up that hill, but I come off the bench against Batley. So that was my first ever game. And then the following week was the semi-final. And because it had gone well in that game, he just kept me in it. But then we got beat by Castleford. So I think he just went back to experience. But I mean, I'd only played a game, really. I'd only played half an hour, so it would have been a big call if he wouldn't have put me in over an experienced one. I think if it had gone the other way, it probably would have been, his head would have been on the table, wouldn't it? So,
well, hindsight's a great thing, isn't it, for coaches? But
I've always got on well with Steve, because I've spoken to him a few times lately as well. And he's always been. He's actually said that conversation to me, so it's quite nice, really. But,
yeah,
that's it. It's what it is.
He's a nice bloke, Steve, as well. Like I say, he's a quality coach, Steve. He's got a lot of experience, and I think one thing about him is he does spot talent from a young age.
I think
when at 16.
That's why I think that's why he really enjoyed the role at Wigan, didn't he? Because he is so good at picking youth and picking out a talent that he sees. There's been a lot that has come through with him. So.
Then you moved on to Salford, and big boots to fill, really, Rich, because you did go with a reputation. How did you find your experience at Salford?
Well, I think it was one of those, because I could have stayed at Widnes, because that year when Castleford beat us in the final and got promoted, so then Widnes went into liquidation, so everyone was a free agent. So I was going to stay at Widnes, but then an opportunity came to go to Salford, and Salford was staying full time, and I knew they were keeping their Super League squad. So I thought they just signed Robbie Paul and that. So I thought if I got a chance to play, it'd be a good opportunity for me to go there. So and then luckily, that you played them NFP games. They played I think it was 6 cup games before the season started. And Robbie got injured before playing them, so I played them 6, and then I played 30-odd games or something. So, it took me back out. So
there's not many people as well who play in the lower division who actually get picked for England. But Tony Smith gave you a chance playing at a lower division team at Salford into the England squad. So You know, how was you feeling then? How did you, you know, as an 17-year-old kid, you know, getting picked from a national?
18, probably just turned 18 when I played for England, I think. Man, I might have been 17.
Was that the game? Did we play against Wales? Was it against Wales?
Yeah, it was before. So it was before the 2008 World Cup, was it? 2008 World Cup. So before that, basically, Saints and Leeds were playing in the final in the week before it, and obviously they had about 15 members of the team going. Yeah. So they weren't picking anyone to play in this game. So I don't think there was anyone else. There was quite a lot of people out injured or whatever. So he was looking down the line, and I'd already been speaking a bit with Tony about maybe going to Warrington at some point or on them lines. So no, it was a nice boost to get down, to get the chance to play in that one. I think we won something like 90 points to 10 or something like that. It was.
Yeah, man. Well, it's one thing I always stick out with you, Rich. So you were a typical little cheeky halfback, weren't you? You know, and I think you've got to be in to make the grade, and you, especially coming from a young age, like breaking through that young. I think you needed that.
Well, I think looking back, you just get swept up in it all. You don't actually realise what you're actually doing, if that makes sense. You don't realise the importance of. You just think, oh, this is just the norm, which is really daft to think that you're playing for England, it's the norm. But I think it's only when you look back later down the line when you're trying to get in the team, or if you're not thinking, that you realise, I played when I was 18.
I think sometimes blokes who come home and maybe been like cheeky or confident or cocky or whatever, and other blokes are like, oh, we seen him, and you always go, reminds me of me, that.
I think I do think you're right, especially because if you go into a team where you've got a lot of, it either goes one or two ways. You go into a team, and which is both ways aren't right, but if you go into a team that's got a load of stars and a load of dominant figures, you can either be the quiet one and just get on, do your own job, or you can try and impose yourself. And sometimes it doesn't work the right way. Sometimes it's too, people start turning around going, hang on a minute. Down. Like we've got, like, for all I love Harry Newman at Leeds at the minute, he reminds me of very much of me when I was coming in. Like, I would always not listen in the certain sense, you know what I mean? But he's such a good talent, and he's actually warming more towards listening a little bit more. But he's a bit like me coming in. Like, remember when he used to go, just run this play for me. Just give me the ball, Woody.
Well, I always. Sorry, Micky. Go on, Micky. Sorry.
My next question for you: making the big move to Warrington when Tony did bring you to, like you just said, Warrington at the time was a team full of, you know, we had superstars on our days. You know, we had a massive, you know, talented squad, and I'd probably, like, you know, you've just alluded to it then, like, you know, give me the ball. I think, what was the track? What was it like when you moved to Warrington? You know, because myself and Woody were already there. You know, been there, well, Woody a long time, myself a few years. What was it the feeling like to move to Warrington with the big team?
I think probably looking back in reflection, I probably would have done some things a bit differently. Good way but then in the same token, I don't know if it's one of those. You kind of get swept up in the whole, like it's the same with the England thing. You just get swept up in the whole moment of it all, and this is what I'm doing. You just roll it as it goes, really. But probably looking back, I probably could have gone in a bit softer at times than I did, and had not as much of an opinion. That probably might have. But then in the same token, it wouldn't have been me, and it probably wouldn't have been the way I would have progressed anyway. So I don't know.
Well, yeah. I mean, I always remember, I don't know if you remember this, Richie, but I always remember when we was in Tenerife, we just signed for Warrington. We'd only been probably training together for about 3 or 4 weeks. And we went to Tenerife. We split up into 2 groups, left and right. Was doing a speed drill. Richie was behind me. And I took a step back and stood on his toe. And he said, "You big fucking stupid oaf." And anyway, I was walking off about 10 minutes later. And Breezy said, "What's up with you?" And I said, "I'm going to fucking slap Richie Myler if he carries on." but that attitude, like you said, that attitude, I think it comes part and parcel with like an halfback, doesn't it? You know, like Breezy was. I remember I was 18, but Breezy had been 21, and the older players felt exactly the same about Breezy as they did about, like you've got that cheekiness, that cockiness, but when you're 18, there's nothing you can do. They just look at you and you think, fucking young little shit, like, what who do you think you speak? You can get away with it when you start getting to 26, 27, because you're not seen as a youngster anymore. But up until then, if you've got that cheekiness, a rugby player's environment is such a difficult place to be. But you can't just shut shop, Richie, because that's your personality and that's you as a player.
Yeah, I think you're right. You're 100% right, and I think that's where it either goes one or two ways, isn't it? And then certain luck in half a sense and talent gets you so far. But yeah, the ones that are cocky and don't have other attributes don't end up going anywhere. Do you know what I mean? That's when you end up weeding them out. So
I think the thing with you though, Richie, what stands out as well is that you had that cockiness about you, but one thing you've always had is you put your hand up when you make a mistake, and you're willing to learn as well. So you weren't cocky as like, I know everything and you're going to do as I say. You had that element of you was willing to work with your coaches, work with your players. You did put your hand up in video sessions whenever you made a mistake. So I think that's a good attribute. So you had a good balance of the two of you, and especially at that young age coming into the Warrington team, because like Micky said, full of superstars and, expected big things. You had a big weight on your shoulders.
Yeah, I think you're right, and I think that's why there's probably two ways to look at it. I think you could have gone in. I probably, like I said, could have gone in a little bit softer than the way I did, but I probably went in with the attitude of I'd signed on a big contract to come into a team full of things, so I was going to stamp my ground as such, and probably that went the wrong way with certain players and didn't go the wrong way with others. So. I mean, in a group of 25 blokes, not everybody's going to be everyone's best pal, but I think I had enough respect from people that are putting body on the line. So I think that's enough to say, yeah, I'm quite happy with it. I loved Warrington. I thought it was brilliant when we were there.
I always loved my time at Warrington, and like from that year, from 2009 onwards, when we were playing in finals virtually every year, best time of my life.
At Get a Tax Rebate, we make it easy for you or your business to claim back thousands of pounds in tax. Most people, like Jane and Philip, don't realise that they are owed money from HMRC, so they never claim. All you need to do is fill out a simple form on our website and we'll do the rest. It's that simple. We've also helped business owners claim back millions of pounds in research and development R&D tax credits. So if you're working in a business or own one, contact us today to see if we can help you claim back tax and improve your cash flow. Get a Tax Rebate, your tax refund concierge.
$18.95 Sports on State of Mind, the ultimate lineup.
Macy Vienna Aesthetics, based in Wigan, for all your wrinkle treatments, dermal fillers, lip enhancement, energy boost injections, immune boost injections. Please visit us on Facebook or Instagram at Macy Vienna Aesthetics.
But going back to a final, Rich, one thing I really felt for you is the 2010 Challenge Cup final, because you played virtually every game and then Tony Smith left you out. Now, the year before, I broke my leg in 2009 and missed the first Challenge Cup final. So when you got left out, I did have this really sinking feeling for you, because I really felt for you, because I know what it was like to miss that final. But what was you going through? Because again, you're still a young lad then. You'd have been about 20 years of age.
Yeah, I think it's one of those. It's harsh, isn't it? It's a harsh lesson to learn. To be honest, when you step back and look at it and you look at the bigger picture of it, you realise that John Clark had missed the year before. He didn't play in that final the year before. Obviously, we had Micky, Monners and John Clark. So I think when you... And I think I'd had a knee injury as well. And I only played 4 or 5 games before getting to that final anyway. But when you step back and realise, at the time I was like, this is the end of the world. Like, what am I going to do now? Can't believe they've done this. But then when you think about it, you think, well, John Clark had been there forever at Warrington and not played a final really because he missed the 2009 one, didn't he?
Yeah.
So I think he went with. I think he started with. Did he start with you, Micky, and then bring John on, or started with John?
I think he started with. Did he put Monners at half and John at 9 and me on the bench?
Monners played half and used were both night. So in the grand, when you look back on it in reflection of it, you see there was a bigger picture to the whole thing, and like it wasn't. But at the time, you think it's the worst thing in the world, and it was all about why has he dropped me? But then in the same things, when I played in the 2012 Grand Final, Challenge Cup final, it meant more to me because I'd missed out on the. Do you know what I mean? If I'd got there in the 10, I probably would have just been like, oh yeah, this is not took it for granted, but I didn't really earn to get there. Whereas I felt like in 12, I earned to play there.
Well, to be honest, I think it's testament to you. You know, I think that's some of your qualities. You know, you probably went home and you cried your eyes out, or whatever, and whatever. And
I had to room with Woody in London. I remember it. I had to room with him and he snores like a trooper.
Just to make things worse.
That was the short straw.
Just for like putting in the coffin, you're not unselected. You're down in the dumps and you have to room with this plonker.
I know. That's what it was.
Just like. You think it's Tony Smith can just do anything else to me at this moment in time?
No, I was just like, I can't believe this is happening.
No matter what team I've played for, I've only ever been able to room with non-players or Benny Westwood. Because there's only Benny Westwood you can't wake up with you snoring, and he snores as well. And if you wake non-players up, it doesn't matter, does it? So that's just my downfall. Sorry, Micky, go on.
No. Obviously, Helen, you've been brought up in a sporting, environment since you're little with your brother, and obviously your background and stuff. What's it been like with Richie? And supporting him through his journey, his rugby journey. I know he's still got a good few years left, but I think people see as this glamorous lifestyle as a sports person, but there's a lot of sacrifice, and especially from the partner side of it as well. It's just little things people take for granted. A summer holiday, innit, or sometimes your weekend spent with the kids. It's travelling to rugby matches.
I've lost track of the number of weddings I've gone to, and I have to sit at the singles table. So you end up going, and even as a married woman with kids, I end up going to weddings and sitting with all the 17-year-old boys because you go always on your own. No, I think because I knew nothing about rugby league. Like my brother follows rugby league, but he's in football. All my family are in football. So when I started watching you, the best thing about rugby league is how passionate the fans are. People don't like rugby league, do they? They love it. I think most people are a casual football fan, but if you're a rugby league fan, you're well into it, aren't you? So I think for me, I couldn't believe how intense it was. And obviously when you were playing at Warrington, and then the first thing that I went to, do you remember the girls invited me? So there was your Shelley and Kate and Claire Morley and Vicky Carvel and Debbie Westwood, and they all asked me to go on to some racing do. And I remember going, and I said to you after, I don't know if I'm terrified of them or I love them. It is, when people talk about rugby league family, it's very much a family, isn't it? Everyone's part of everyone's life in such an intense way because it's such a weird lifestyle. We got married in 2013. We've lived in 2 countries, 3 cities, God knows how many houses. And sometimes people say to me, where will your kids go to school? I'm like, well, I don't know. Depends where we move. Or, we've never lived near family because we've moved around because of your job. And I love that, and I love the adventure. But yeah, sometimes I think if you're not winning or you're not playing well, when fans get the knickers in a twist and can be quite aggressive sometimes, you can't say anything, but it rattles me because I'm I feel like I know all 3 of you as blokes and as husbands and dads, and I don't think any of you have ever gone out there just to take the money. You've always gone out there and put your bodies on the line and put your lives on the line, and sometimes I think it's important people remember that, because you don't become a millionaire when you play rugby league. Should have married a footballer, shouldn't I?
Well, Micky's not far off.
Why Richie's married you, I think. I like it. Just moving on again, when you said about you've been moving around to her. You went to Catalans, didn't you? What was your time like in south of France? It's beautiful part of the world.
I learned the language very well, Mickey.
Well, you know what? We had to get a little interview on when you did your little interview that time. But you not managed to get hold of it. Do you want to give us a bit of a rerun, Rich, with your tenure?
There's an explanation to why that happened.
Go on, then.
And that was like my 15th interview I'd done that day. And everyone that interviews you is a French person trying to slow it down to speak English. No, that's true. So I was slowing my speech down so that they could understand what I was saying. Yes, it did come across like an absolute idiot. And I remember...
I am very happy to be here.
I won trophies. I had a good time.
Then I played for Warrington Wolves for 6 seasons and had some real success, 2 Challenge Cups, a couple of grand final appearances. So I've done okay, and now I'm here with Catalan Dragons.
You don't know how many times. Every other club I've gone to, that's all it gets brought up.
The thing is, we just had Ernie, hadn't we? And you've been in Warrington for 7 years. We'd done up that house in Stockton, thinking we were going to be there forever. And I remember when you weren't going to stay at Warrington, I sat in Golden Square, is that what it's called? In Warrington. And I sat with Ashton Sims' wife and Chris Hill's wife, and I just cried because I think I didn't know what was going to happen to our life. And it's turned out to be the best thing that ever happened to us. We absolutely loved our time in the south of France. It was such a good adventure. And it's funny now because a lot of girls, like when Matty Russell left Warrington, I spoke to Chloe, and because she was like, "Oh, what's going to happen now?" And I said, I think when you're so ingrained in the club and like we're not playing, but it becomes our life because you're there. You can't imagine what your life's going to be like when you leave it, because rugby determines what you do on a weekend, what you do on a night, where you go on holiday, all that stuff. But I mean, I would say to anyone, when you move, I mean, we've had it a bit lately, haven't we, with people moving on. I'm the advocate for move on, it'll be fine, you'll have a great time. We loved the south of France, didn't we?
We lived on a vineyard, so it was, yeah.
Pissed every night.
I was hammered.
Well, good job we didn't come out there then, innit? Well, how did you balance your life and work life and home life, Helen? With that, obviously how did you was it a special delivery as well with Ernie? Was it
So I had Ernie in the June.
Dining table.
Yeah, well, I wish the floor. I had Ernie in the June, and then we moved to Catalan at the end of that season. And then, and it was perfect timing because I basically took the best part of 2 years off. I just did a couple of things in between, didn't I? Like I went to the Olympics and I went to something else.
Yeah,
I had 2 years off with the kids. So that's, anyone with kids as a mum, that's a total gift. And then I had Louis, our second. You were playing in England at Huddersfield, and I had Louis in the kitchen in France.
That's the one.
So what happens there then in France? Did anyone come out and see you? Did the doctors come out, or did you just, that's it, I've had a baby? Micky comes home, throws his bag down in the corner and says, baby's here.
But it's weird in France, because obviously in England, they're all about the home birth, but in France, they just don't do that. So I was excited thinking that I was going to go into hospital in France and get all the drugs and be like spaced out and hardly know it was happening. But yeah, I had him, it just happened a lot quicker than I thought. So, because the good thing about being in Catalan is the players' families, or when we were there, you all hang out together. So we'd had a pool party on the Friday and had him on the Saturday, didn't I? But yeah, I was just a bit in denial. So my eldest was like hitting me on the head with a sword that Paul Ayton had bought him. He thought it was dinosaurs.
Oh, I listened to that on you actually explained that story on SAS, didn't you? That you was getting it on the head with a sword while he's having a baby. So pretty cool story that. That's but so obviously you moved from Catalan and then you went over to Leeds. So you loved your experience in Catalan, but it were quite difficult in Leeds for you, Richie, as a player. But how did you transition as well, Ellen, to the lifestyle? How was it for you both?
I think when you got the chance to come to Leeds, like you just, as I say, we loved Catalan, but I mean, you know better. You always say you don't say no to Leeds because it's such a big club and so lucky to get a chance there. But for us, it was a hard switch because you've gone from living on the beach in your own little bubble. Like we literally opened the doors and we were on the beach, to move into a city where, with full respect to Catalan fans, you'd say yourself, like, if you score a try, you're a hero. And obviously it's a very different thing at Leeds. Like, you came here and all of a sudden everyone wanted to talk to me about rugby, and I'm like, I don't know. Was he good? I don't know. Well done. Yeah. And it was kind of different for me, because I quite like to just bumble along in ignorance and go to the game, have a wine with the girls, go home. I'm not really going to go to the game and analyse your performance and how many 40-20s you've done or whatever. That's the thing, isn't it?
Yeah. Nice, Ellen.
I think as well, though, I think with the rugby aside, obviously Leeds was a good opportunity to come back, but we'd also just had Louis as well. So I knew with like Micky touched about Helen, like coming back for work or coming back, it would have got harder for us, and it was getting harder to send grandparents back, like, because grandparents were coming out and then getting emotional to go home, like, we're not going to see you for another couple of months. So that was getting harder every time they came and went back. So we were kind of a bit like.
And I'd flown a couple of times, not to jump in, but I'd flown a couple of times with both boys by myself, and I don't know if you can tell that story, but you're gonna. I'd flown a couple of times with both boys by myself, and when we were thinking about staying in Catalan, and you said, "Oh, it'll be fine. You can fly with the team." I was like, "Yeah, I can't imagine, rugby team being too happy about a woman with 2 babies." So I flew back once by myself, didn't I?
Which one?
When Ernie made those friends.
Oh yeah, no, you can't talk.
We'll tell you that another time.
Hey, we can talk about anything on the show.
Okay, we'll tell the story. It's funny. It's funny because it's not funny.
If I tell it. So basically, I get on the flight, I've got both babies, I lose Ernie, and my kids are cut from the same cloth as your kids. They're quite wild. And Ernie came around the corner with a couple who were on their way back from having competed in the World Dwarf Championships. And obviously, he was 3. So, like, they were brilliant. Like, they found it hilarious. But they were like, yeah, I know we're adults, but we're your height. And he literally walked towards me. He's like, look, Mummy, look what I found. And they were so brilliant because they saw the funny side. But it was just that moment when I thought, can I really go backwards and forwards with 2 kids by myself? I'm not sure I can.
Oh, brilliant.
Well, you're quite close to your family as well, Richie, aren't you? Because obviously spending time with you at Warrington, your mum and dad went to every single game. So that opportunity to come back, obviously, to Leeds, and then, Ellen, you've got your family in Cumbria, is just, I suppose it's a no-brainer, really. And you see your families a lot more now, even though you're not living locally.
Probably less.
Less, yeah.
less because it's not in the sun and we've not got a pool.
We don't live on the beach.
They don't want to come and see you now, do they?
No, that was, like I say, it was getting harder to say bye to family. So I think as much as it was easy to get out and see you, it still was you still had to get on a plane and fly. Do you know what I mean? It was still more of it wasn't like you couldn't just drop on a day and nip up for the afternoon if need be. Do you know what I mean?
There was time as well, wasn't it? Because Catalan had sacked the manager. You didn't know who was going to come in.
Well, yeah, when it all happened, it was like in May time. So I think Laurent got sacked and Steve McNamara hadn't even come in yet. There was rumours of coming in, but it wasn't done. And
so you kept saying, what if the new guy comes and doesn't like me? I better take the Leeds gig before I get binned off.
Because it was like because I got offered a 3-year deal at Leeds as well, and Leeds were flying at the time as well, so I couldn't really.
There was a rumour that Tony Smith was going to take the Catalan job as well.
Yeah,
there's a rumour going around, wasn't it? Like I remember,
that's why I rang Brian McDermott and said I'm coming. No,
yeah. Fax it over quick, I'll sign it. Obviously, just coming towards the end now. It's time's gone so quick. We could chat all night. What's both your plans for the future now? Moving forward. What's
that program called that we're doing? What's it called?
Richard thinks I'm Margot from The Good Life because I have these
remember
ideas.
The Good Life? Being like, so we bought a new house that's got load of a bit of woodland and stuff in it. So Helen's decided
it's not a house. People say that. I think it's basically, it used to be a kitchen and a pig shed. So it's a little house with a massive garden.
So Helen wants to have pigs and chickens and everything. And
that sounds awesome.
I know, that's brilliant.
and have a full-time job and me play rugby. So
So-
and raise 2 kids.
Hang on, these two are
And a black lab.
You two have known Richard longer than me, so you know he's no stranger to how many courses have you started? You've done an electrics course, a management course, a plumbing course. Now he started doing all the building work, and you were like, "You've done really well," but I'm like,
Patronising sod. I've been there every day.
But I'm waiting for him to change his
What are you doing now, Richard? Bricklaying?
Oh, I had to rip everything out, yeah. I had to rip every single bit of plaster off. There's literally all that's been left of this house that Ellen found for us to do is the outside wall, pretty much, and part of that's come down.
So where is it? So it's in Leeds. Is this in Leeds? This?
Yeah. So it's literally up the road from where we are now, because we love the area we're in. So it's literally half a mile from where we are.
Yeah.
But like it's like a 1850s house. It was built in 1850, so it's just needed everything doing to it.
Yeah, but they'll know what it's like. He comes home every day at like 4 o'clock. He's like, "Oh, I'm exhausted." And I'm like, "Yeah, because you've never done a full day at work. Like 1 o'clock is when you're used to finishing 4 o'clock."
I know. Well, that's right. I mean, when I retired and I got what I call a proper job, which that's what I call my job now, a proper job. And you're coming home at like 5, 6 o'clock in an evening, and I'm like, not used to this shit. I can't do it.
I think you've just prompted my memory, because the woman that I was trying to buy kitchen worktops off, she went, "Do you know a rugby player called Paul Wood? Have you doing something with granite?"
Yeah, that's me. Yeah.
Oh,
That's it. Yeah, sell worktops, kitchen worktops. So come to me when you need them.
She literally went, "Have you heard of this guy, Paul Wood?" And I thought, "Oh, I could have a field day here." And I was like, "Yeah, what do you want to know?"
Which company was that then?
Meliora in Bawtry in Doncaster.
Oh, I don't know.
She knew you.
Anyway, moving on quick.
Anyway, yeah, but no, you both come from different sort of environments, really. Because Richie, you grew up in Widnes, and you grew up in Cumbria, Carlisle, and on a farm. So I suppose what you're going to do, what's the compromise here then?
Well, she'll win. She's 100%. She's already won. It's already started. So.
I've got my eye on a chicken shed, and he's already gone, "I know we were going to get chickens, but should we knock it down and get a hot tub instead?" So we're debating that.
Sorry, I've lost my train of thought there.
Granite worktops?
No, what was we speaking about then? Oh, no, do you think you'll settle in Leeds? Sorry, that was my question. Do you think you'll settle in Leeds? Or
yeah, well, we do love it here, and Ernie's obviously started school now, so that's a big factor into it. So I think, and obviously it is such a good city, and we've got a lot of friends in that here now as well. So like, I don't mean a lot of friends at Leeds, but a lot of friends outside of the rugby as well. So I think it'll be hard for us to leave where we are at the minute with the kids and stuff. So.
But I think, because our sort of life, and we moved around a lot. When we had Ernie, the people that come and help you out was like Kate and Shelley. Like, I remember your Kate, Micky came round. I always say she came round, changed the beds, made tea, and left. And I was like, they're the kind of friends you need. And like, because we've moved around so much, I've never had that. Like, we've never.
Ellen, sorry, could you just say that again? What she did?
She came round, she changed the beds, made the tea, and left.
She's never done that in 20 years here.
But I mean, like, as a girl, like, you need those kind of friends, and rugby gave me that. And I think for the
you don't make a bed.
Shut up. Nice point here. But I think for us, like, we found that for the first time in Leeds. You know, like, we didn't do the NCT or like the school groups or any of that stuff on. We're not near family, so I think we feel lucky that we've made friends that will come round and make our tea.
Brilliant. Well, listen, guys, thanks for coming on. That's gone over an hour though, which is probably the longest we've done, I think, isn't it? Like Micky said, we could.
She does like to talk.
But no, there's a lot to talk about though. You know, we could have gone into a lot more detail, but really appreciate you coming on. We know it's an evening and we've all got kids and stuff, but yeah, really appreciate it, guys, and thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having us.
No, thanks for again. You know, really much appreciated you coming on in your, hectic. You know, I know you've been working. you're still working out, you're doing your bits and bats. So, no, really thanks for giving your time up, and hopefully we'll see you soon.
Nice to see you both. Thank you for having us.
And you.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks again. Much appreciated.
Bye.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.